And we are now live. We can look around everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Peloquin.
I'm Dennis Wilson.
And we have a couple of special guests here live in our Vancouver studios. Well, actually, that's Dennis's Vancouver studio overlooking downtown Falls Creek. Fantastic. Yeah. We have Greg Stewart. Greg, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And in the bottom corner here, we're going to bring him up when we do. We have Dr. Stan BreakThrough. Here he is. Dr. BreakThrough, how are you?
Man, I'm blessed and highly favored, just like you.
Everybody, it's great to have everybody here. We're gonna have some fun today. For those of you that are joining us on the webinar, there is a chat box. On that chat box, you can type in your questions. You can ask us anything. Ask Dennis, or you can ask me, or Dr. Stan, or Greg Stewart. Any questions about MLM? We're just having a conversation here, getting all set up for having over 20 speakers in Orlando, Florida at the end of September. It's going to be really exciting. So without any further ado, why don't we just hear a little bit about each other and what we've all done to let everybody, our audience, know. Dr. Stan, why don't you start with a little bit about you?
Well, hey, just so you know, that my name is Dr. Stan Harris, originally from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And, I was against this industry. I'm a minister of the gospel, also a martial artist and so forth. But somebody I respected was really against it. So I never studied or figured out why they were against this industry. So I was against it. And then when I finally found out what this is really all about, I started off with my hair on fire. And so it's just been incredible. Man, I'll tell you, my wife and I, we say we're a covenant couple building covenant relationships based on the covenant of promise. And we aspire to inspire breakthroughs even after we've expired. So I've been blessed to be at the top of 7 different companies. At one time, I was at the top of 3 different companies simultaneously. And again, we just love empowering people. So I say, my wife and I, we say if it's not win-win-win, we're not in. However, when it's win-win-win, we're all the way in. That's what I love about working with you guys. You're the same way.
Great. Well, thanks so much for that. I have to kind of switch it around because of the way we have this. Of 3 of us, we can't be side by side, so we have to kind of go up and down as I'm moderating. I myself, Craig Peloquin, I've been in the industry now for about the same amount of time as you, Dennis.
You've been in longer, at least a couple months.
And we met over 23 years ago in a local Vancouver company, and we've been following each other, working together for over 23 years. I've worn every hat from corporate trainer to distributor, top earner, master distributor, owner. That one I wouldn't do again. And done it all. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to be a stay-at-home dad while doing all of that. So here we are today, and getting a chance to sit down with our mentor, Greg Stewart, who kind of was there at the beginning, Dennis, and put us on the right path.
He sure did.
Dennis, a little bit more about you.
I started in the industry about 3 months after Craig. Eventually got to the top of that company that was in serious decline, so that's not a huge achievement. Moved on to then become one of the leaders in a large company, topped out in the 7 figures, which was really nice. Then I started an MLM software company. So we're actually MLM software providers and hour-a-day auto prospecting system providers. And that's part of the reason we can do these webinars is we sort of sponsor them and set them all up and take care of things with them. So yeah, now I spend my time consulting for companies at the corporate level and helping out on webinars and helping people do better with hour-a-day as a result amplifier.
There you go. And Mr. Greg Stewart, maybe a little bit about yourself, the old plow horse here.
That's right. I'm probably the oldest here. I know I'm the oldest here. Anyway, Greg Stewart here. I've been involved for nearly 30 years in network marketing. And like Craig, I've worn just about all hats. I've been a provider for merchant services network marketing company, master distributor. I've been corporate. I've been owner, involved with numerous different companies. And we've all experienced the bumps and bruises of startups and failures and so on. You have to have it in your blood to stay in this crazy industry. I did get the concept of leverage in my blood many, many years ago. And when you truly understand that, then that's what it's all about. A one-time effort for continued income. You just need to find the right company that's going to keep paying. And so that's been a challenge for
for many.
It's been a challenge for many. And see, people are fearful of saturation awareness. That's why they're always looking for that startup and pre-launch. But to me, pre-launch should be a 4-letter word, in my opinion. But anyway, so I'm a legend in my own mind. I'm nothing special. I just copied people, and then these guys copied me, and so
full disclosure, he's a legend in my mind too.
So anyway, but I took it seriously, and so there's more to network marketing than just residual income. It's actually personal growth. Some of the best personal growth I've ever experienced. If I hadn't embraced network marketing, I wouldn't have read the library of materials that have made me what I am today. And so I have a lot of people to thank for that. And these are two good guys here, and I just got to meet Stan.
Hey, you know what? And there's going to be a whole bunch more good guys out there, in September in Orlando. So, hey, we just want to give you a little preview of some of the things. And I asked people when you registered, you could put down a question. So we have a few questions. Why don't we get started off with one of the questions from Tammy? How to create curiosity so your prospects will look at your products without pushing it on them. Oh, the big one. How do you create curiosity? And it's really funny. I'd like to start by answering that one because I've been working with Greg really closely for the last week. And he is amazing at creating curiosity without pushing it on them. And Greg, maybe you could say some things generically, how you go and talk about stuff and what you put out there, because we get inundated on social media all the time. I mean, how many people on your social media feed are pushing their products and you make so much money and buy my stuff?
You'd be so good at this. I know I would be.
And Dennis, you have a rule that 80% of your posts should just be kind of fun and maybe a little bit about
80% of your posts should be stuff that you'd normally post for your friends and family and whatever. 20% of them might hint towards your business. Upset that rule, and you're going to have a whole bunch of followers that aren't actually following. You'll have been removed. Your message isn't getting through, so don't do it.
Exactly. And Greg, how do you get out there and create curiosity on Facebook? Because you happen to use Facebook quite a bit. That seems to be your mode to do it. How do you create curiosity?
Well, I do two things. Over the years, I've developed I don't have a lot of friends. I just know a lot of people. And so with that being said, I reach out to them first, and I don't vomit information on them. I just ask if they're open or focused. I do the same thing on social media. We've all experienced this. Somebody wants to, you friend somebody or you add them to Messenger, and immediately, they send you 10 paragraphs and links to what you have. I don't do any of that. I just simply ask if they're open or focused. I believe I found the impossible. So I'm giving respect. I just ask if they're open or focused. Now, interesting, Craig, you saw this happen today. A friend that I've known for a long time, I simply sent him a message. I saw that I go on Messenger and I'll see who's online. And that way I get a quick response back. So I just said, hi, Joe, checking in. Want to see if you're open or focused. I believe I found the impossible. He responded back, I am totally focused. I said, okay, fine, great. But within 30 seconds later, comes back and says, what is it?
So you respected the fact that he said he was focused, gave him a little thumbs up, moved on, had other people to talk to, and then sure enough, but I need to know.
It made him want it more.
Maybe I'm not so focused as I thought I was, because you're not doing what everybody else does and sending me the links. Yeah. Dr. Stan, what about you? How do you create curiosity?
Well, it's been said, facts tell and stories sell. So the main thing I teach people is you've got to be a product of your product. And whatever your product or service is, then you start telling a story about it. Or if you don't have a story yet, you can always use someone else's story. But that helps to create curiosity. When I tell people, as a martial artist, think about this, for instance. You can imagine 1 week before I was putting my hand through 22 inches of cement block on fire. The next week, I couldn't even get out of bed by myself. I collapsed out of exhaustion. 1 week I was laying on the bed of nails, put 100 pounds of bricks in my stomach. They broke it off with a sledgehammer. And the next week I couldn't even go to the bathroom by myself. I'd collapsed. But 4 months later, and by the way, they said I would never speak again. I'd never do another demonstration again. I was stronger, better, and faster than ever before. And it's because of a product someone sent to me that I just tried it out, and it worked so well, it literally changed my life. Stronger, better, faster than ever before. And inevitably, people's like, man, what in the world was that, right? And not only that, for instance, you can ask people a simple question. And I simply ask them a question like this. Would you like to get healthier, wealthier, or both? 99 times out of 100, they'll say what? Both. Say, can I ask you another question? I said, sure. Would you like to do both sooner or later? By the way, you can do this physically. I do this sometimes and through Messenger with people. Would you like to do both sooner or later? They say, sooner. And I'll say, may I ask you another question? They'll text back, yes. How soon is soon to you? And one guy said, next week is when I get paid. I guess he figured where I was going. But then, but then what happens is then you just back off, right? So you just kind of back off. So you put it out there, make it quick, sweet, and then you kind of back off, right? But if you can have a story, though, there's something powerful about a story that draws people in. Again, if you don't have a story, somebody in your company will have a great testimonial about your service, your product, or whatever you're doing. If you can learn to tell that, especially using cliffhangers, stopping, pausing, and people love to hear their name. So if you can put people's name in it while you're going through that. And I learned this from my beautiful wife, Nadia. By the way, I call her my ABCD. That stands for Adorable Brown Caramel Delight. But she'll say, babe, can I ask you something? And I would notice she would say that. And every time she says, can I ask you something? I always say, well, of course. And I started doing that with people. And it's like, wow, it's incredible, right? And but anyway, so those are some things that I do. But can I do this real quick? Can I just bust in and have some fun for a quick second, if you don't mind?
Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Okay, so I got a board here and it says lack of focus, right? Because a lot of people, they ask me all the time, how do you get this name Dr. Breakthrough, right? So a lot of times when I do my presentations, because of my martial arts background, I just learn to leverage whatever I do. By the way, most people will never be a CEO or CFO, but everybody I say can be a CLO, and a CLO stands for Chief Leveraging Officer. So Archimedes said if I had a lever long enough and a prop strong enough, I could single-handedly move the world. So because of my martial arts background, I learned to incorporate it when I was building teams. Now I just do generic training, but when I was building teams, I would use this. But a lot of times, let me just show you a simple thing. Focus, my acronym for focus, firmly on course until successful, not firmly on course until stressful. And I'm telling you, this thing about creating curiosity, it'll take a while for you to develop it, but if you just keep working on it, you can do it. But most people, they don't have the intestinal fortitude and they stop before they reach it. So you got to be focused, firmly on course until successful. And so I tell people we got to learn to break through the lack of focus. Now, this is a pine board. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying with enough focus and determination, we can break through this. So let me hear you guys say breakthrough time.
Breakthrough.
Oh, come on now, say breakthrough time.
Breakthrough time. Yeah! Oh, wow.
So we just broke that. And by the way, that symbolizes, I used to see people do that years ago, well, over 4 decades ago, and I thought it was impossible. But then, my friend, it dawned on me, they got trained. And if they got trained, I can get trained. And maybe it wouldn't be impossible. It would be probable. And now, of course, we do things like that all the time. But again, demonstrating, leveraging what I can do, which is martial arts, speaking to people. And I do that, and people are like, wow, man, good. That's incredible. So, and you can use that. That also creates curiosity, and you can use that. But also, I just wanted to kind of put a little excitement extra in the beginning and stir this thing up extra, if you don't mind. And then that's the Dr. Breakthrough thing. And by the way, just to throw this out, I got the name Dr. Breakthrough years ago, about 20 years ago. I was speaking with Dr. Willie Jolly at Howard University. He says, man, you explain breakthroughs better than anybody I know. And you probably had more than anybody I know. And he said, when you break these boards and bricks while you're speaking, he said, you're kind of like a doctor, and you go to the doctor and he gives a prescription. You've got a prescription that people follow, they get their breakthrough. And I said, well, I'll live the rest of my life to make sure that's so. So I tell people, it's Dr. Breakthrough. I can't provide the breakthrough. I just prescribe the breakthrough. But when people follow the breakthrough prescription, God Almighty provides the breakthrough they desire and deserve. And a breakthrough is exploding through barriers that at one time seemed insurmountable. And that's what I love about what you guys are doing, because you're empowering people to break through. And this powerful event that we're going to be speaking at together, the 29th of September through October the 1st, oh my goodness, some of the best all coming together simply to empower other people, to help them to be firmly on course until successful. So 7 years ago when I got started in martial arts, I tripped over my own feet. But guess what? And you might want to write this down, folks, if you're listening, because note takers are money makers, and the weakest ink is stronger than the strongest memory. And that is this. I made a commitment, get this now, to be bad long enough until I can get good. See, if you can focus firmly on course until successful, you got to make a commitment to be bad or feel bad long enough to get good. And in Japanese, you call your teacher sensei. I used to trip over my own feet. They called me Mr. Baboon. They made fun of me. But guess what, my friend? Many years later, they didn't make fun. And now, 48 years later, exactly now, I'm one of 110th degree black belts out of 7 billion people. And 11 years ago, I retired as a heavyweight champion with Karate World Rating System. And I was blessed to be voted into the Black Belt Hall of Fame. But again, when I started, I tripped over my own feet, but I was committed. And what I love about what you guys are doing, you're helping people, again, if they can just be committed to the process of being bad or feeling bad long enough to get good, because with a good mentor and systems and trainings, anybody can get good. We just got to get them to get through that process of feeling uneasy. And so that's what I love, again, what you guys are doing. So back to you.
Stan, can I ask a favor?
Sure.
In Orlando, Florida, could you please write focus on a cinder block?
Breaking on Craig's head. Okay.
I'm gonna break it on your head though.
So I've got 2 points on the whole creating curiosity thing, and
okay,
probably my main one that I see my clients and their members go wrong with all the time is you get the curiosity created and you talk through it is probably one of the biggest things. So once you got the curiosity created, you got to stop and get into sending them whatever information they need. But then the most important thing is to make sure that you do keep your focus on what you're doing. So when they say, well, now that I've agreed to see what you're doing, do you want to hear what I'm doing? The answer should be an emphatic no thanks. I'm focused. Because if you let that door open to where I'm showing you mine and he's showing me hers, and oh man, that just never ends well. It wastes all of your prime phone calling time listening to stuff that you shouldn't be interested in because you're focused. B, it sends the wrong message. When all of a sudden you have it, they don't, you're kind enough to share it with them. Yeah. Instead of maybe theirs is the one that they should be kind enough to share with you, your entire personality changes. Everything changes, and you're now going to crush their frame in the words of how to sell anything. And you just have to have that positive frame, and you don't want to listen to their pitch. They get into a pitch. Hey, whoa, hang on. I connected with you. I asked if you were open or focused. This is my ball game. Because if you don't do that, you'll just get overrun and your belief will fall into the toilet, and then you'll probably, cry and quit.
Well, I mean, I love the idea, fail forward. I mean, Dennis, how many years did it take you in network marketing before you made your first million? 10. Oh my God, that's so long.
I had one guy actually say that to me. He says, well, Dennis, it took you 10 years to make $1 million. I'm like, hang on. I made money all the way along. It just took 10 years to make $1 million in a year. And meanwhile, here's a guy beaking off at me that's making $65,000 a year for all the 10 years that I was making. It was very irritating. And then I just realized it doesn't matter. He was the same guy that said, well, when you get the free car, come and see me. So I did. And he's like, well, if you got the free car, there must be no free cars left. I've been too late. So I just gave up on the guy entirely. He asked me for recommendations for a Japanese trip, which I'm very good at giving. So I gave him a whole bunch of places I'd never go to.
Well, you did something too, because Greg actually was, you talked about that, Dr. Stan, you need a mentor. And we didn't have that when we first started. We actually joined a company. We didn't realize a company that was on its way down and all the leaders were going away.
I remember the number one thing that Greg taught me that ties into what Dr. BreakThrough was saying is he says to me, I should use share instead of teach and tell. And I'm like, share doesn't work for me. He says, look, say it 10 times, it'll work for you. Right? He says, own it by saying it. Don't worry. It's going to feel uncomfortable until it doesn't. And that's exactly what he told me. And I'll tell you, teach and tell versus share was the difference between $2,000 a month and $10,000 a month in MLM income for me.
Sure.
Awesome. By the way, you guys talking about mentors, the easiest, fastest, most reliable way for any success is by having mentors. And somebody said it's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy the right cat. And I always say you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you can put your own rims on it, right? So, but all the greats in every arena have all had mentors. I mean, think about it. Socrates mentored Plato, and then it was Plato who mentored Aristotle. Aristotle mentored Alexander the Great, and then Benjamin Graham mentored Warren Buffett. William E. Bailey mentored Les Brown, and he also mentored Jim Rohn, and both of them mentored millions of people. Jim Rohn also mentored Tony Robbins, and he mentored tens of millions of people. Andrew Carnegie mentored Napoleon Hill. Then Napoleon Hill was W. Clement Stone's mentor. W. Clement Stone then turned around and mentored Jack Canfield, the co-author of the Billion, with a B, billion-dollar book series, Chicken Soup for the Soul. In the Bible, Moses mentored Joshua, and Elijah mentored Elisha, and then Elisha mentored this poor woman that lost her husband, was about to lose her children, taught her how to start a business, and her and her children lived the rest of their lives off of the profits. I was probably in network marketing before. But anyway, then Paul mentored young Timothy, and here's the best of it all. Jesus mentored the disciples, and here's what he said that's so powerful. He said, the works that I do shall you do also, and greater works than these shall you do, meaning that the mentee not just has a potential of doing what the mentor does, but the mentee has the potential of doubling what the mentor. It's like my children, it's like in the martial arts, it's like in my different teams. I said, look, I'm going to teach you everything I know. I'm not going to hold anything back. And then you're going to learn stuff yourself. So by rights, you can not just do what I do, you can exceed what I do. And I actually expect that. And I will be sad if you don't go beyond, because there's always new inventions. And by the way, here's what I say to people. If you believe like I believe and do like I do, what happens for me can happen for you. But because I'm not the standard, it can happen even better for you. And that's my desire. And that's my prayer. So mentorship, awesome. You got to have it, because mentors teach you to have the right mindset. And then they teach you proper methods.
Absolutely. And here we are sitting beside our mentor, which is really kind of awesome. Cool when you see that. And we did learn a lot. And in some cases, we did surpass our goals and expectations. And now here we all are working together. I mean, imagine you're going to find a mentor when you come to Orlando. There's going to be so many of us that are out there that are going to be able to give you the information. I mean, we do a webinar every once in a while. We call it the Dirty Little MLM Dirty Little Secrets. You know, we're going to tell you the things that your upline and your company are not going to probably be telling you. Yeah. I mean, things that you really need to know. You know, and that's what we've learned and we share. I mean, Dennis, with your background of having helped start over 600 MLM companies on your platform, you've kind of seen a bunch of things behind the scenes.
Oh, just a few.
We had another question. Was how to recruit outside of friends and family. This is from Vivi. How to recruit outside of friends and family, and other ideas besides having a party.
LinkedIn. We have a whole video that'll teach you how to do respectful prospecting on LinkedIn using the hour-a-day system to collect and control it all. And Craig's put together an absolutely brilliant system that allows anybody with a free LinkedIn account and the free hour-a-day system to start working on making connections, doing it respectfully, making friends first that turn to friends, that turn to interested people that might become product users or business builders, or first one, then the other, or first the other and then one. So it's a respectful system that allows you to basically expand your circle of influence, all from the fact that Craig started doing it. And honestly, you should tell that story, because you not knowing what you were doing is the reason that system works.
Well, and that was it. I took old school networking techniques that we learned from this man here. And I was told when I started and became with corporate, with the company that I'm with, that I had to have a LinkedIn account. And I was like, I don't want a LinkedIn account. I've been seeing these people for years sending me these emails. They want to link in with me. And I was like, oh, do I? Well, I don't have a choice. Okay, so I get on and I create an account. And so I think, how would I want to approach somebody? And I got to now try to connect with people. And then I realized if you just click the little button that said connect, I got very few connections. So then I thought, well, if I sent them a customized message instead of the standard message, I took some time to do it, maybe I get a better connection request. Well, I guess I was right, because LinkedIn now actually says on their thing before you connect, you get a better connection
if you
personalize it. So somebody was listening. And then I started going through and connecting, and then realizing that LinkedIn changed. And I couldn't really keep up with the calls, and they couldn't really organize the people that I was connecting with. And I went, Dennis, I need help. I said, how can we do this? And then Dennis went to his programmers, and he put together a whole way to take the social media series and tie it into the hour-a-day system. And I got a chance to share that with Greg this week and doing it through Facebook, because there's a whole social media series through Facebook, and how fast you can connect, not automatically, because automatic software is easily detected and is usually turned off.
Yeah, so you'll pay your $99. It'll work for 3 days, and then they'll say, sorry, LinkedIn changed the rules.
And the people see the automated. I mean,
That's right.
so semi-automation is so important, where you can slightly customize your message for each person depending on the conversation and the context.
Or on their actual profile. Do what most people prospecting on LinkedIn don't do. Go to the guy's profile, read it, make a comment about something you read in it so they know it's not automated, and away you go.
Sure. Here's another thought, too. On Facebook, there's groups for just about anything and everything. So what's sad in this day and age about the divorce rate and relationships fall apart about 50%. And so what happens when there's a divorce or a relationship that falls apart? People tend to try to get back in shape to put themselves in the dating market again, and so on. And so there are all kinds of groups out there. And let's assume that you have a health wellness product that might be an anti-aging product or such. Become a member of that group, reach out. Post information not specific to your product, but maybe to the benefits. For example, I might post something about, for the first time ever, the aging population has outnumbered the millennials, and the current census stats in Canada regarding such. Relationships are always a big topic because half the population have difficulty with it. They're unhappy in a marriage. I mean, that's why Ashley Madison stock is going through the roof, and then divorce rates are crazy. And people, I'm an old plow horse. I'm used to using the phone, but I go on Messenger. I look to see who's on there with the list, and I'm not close friends with all those people. But I have a strong friends list, and I just simply ask them, are you open or focused? After 30 years, I believe I found the impossible. So that creates enough curiosity then that they'll say, what do you have? Or, and if they simply say I'm focused, I say, great, keep up the good work.
That's right.
And move on. And then I don't oversell. If you drag somebody across the finish line when you bring them into the business, or if you put them in a headlock,
you got to keep them in a headlock.
You got to keep them in a headlock and drag them across the finish line. So then also, don't assume that people truly understand the concept of leverage. A lot of people really don't. I mean, you've heard the same thing. Well, 2 sponsor 2, 4 and 8 and 16, 32, etc. Years ago, I believe I refined and spent a great amount of time doing this just to perfect a method in which I show the concept of leverage. And I even show when most people are going to quit. It keeps them in the business. It keeps them in auto ship. Because we're in a day and age where people, they want results immediately. I mean, and they're not, we go through all of our life through school and, 4 to 6 years of college. So why do people expect to create retirement in 3 months in network marketing?
That's right.
They do. And so Dennis, years ago, had recorded, I guess, the concept and the method I was sharing the concept.
I learned.
With. Yes.
I can do it on a napkin.
So, but he put together a scribe video that is verbatim that really hits home, because
I'm going to put the link out for everybody.
Yeah, please do, because when people are seeing that, and that's what got into me years ago, into my blood, was truly understanding the concept of leverage. I remember just out of college, I went to a networking presentation, and I didn't get it. They're just talking about redirecting your buying habits, and I thought, how can somebody make money doing that? But when I was at a presentation, and a man is on the stage saying he's made $40,000 a month, and he's saying, I've got 10,000 people in my downline. Right away, I said, I can't do that. I don't even know 10,000 people. But then he went on to say, I've only sponsored about 20. And of that 20, most of them quit, but 6 of them shared with others who did the same, because they have the same amount of empowerment. And he says, as I stand before you, somebody in a different state, maybe a different country, somewhere within the team is sharing the opportunity with somebody else, and I get a small piece of that productivity. So that got in my blood, and I thought, wow, he sponsored about 20, most of them quit, making, he was in it for a year and a half or so. It took a while to get that volume of income, and there was no internet back then. It was dragging his printout across the room. And I thought, gosh, if I could just do half as well as that, maybe I could make $20,000 or $10,000. And what else? The pyramid objection. I don't get all white coat on the pyramid objection. Some people try to say, well, look at our government. Our government's a pyramid, and
companies are pyramid.
All this stuff. Look at the top of a corporation. It's a pyramid. They say, it sounds like one of those pyramid things. I just smile big and say, absolutely. That's why I'm so excited about it. It's a legal pyramid. So, so I don't try to defend at all. I just try to help them understand, because not so much anymore, but many years ago, people thought network marketing was a legal pyramid. What gives network marketing a bad name now is the way that people share the opportunity.
Over promoting.
They're
just get in.
Yeah.
I'll build it for you.
Right. So over promoting, and so there are ways to subtly or sometimes just straightforward. I mean, that's what I do. I just simply say, I go to networkers first. Are you open or focused? That's something else too. Going to networkers can be a detriment because they've learned bad habits. When I first joined network marketing, I was a newbie, and I was open, and I listened, and I learned, and then I'm always open. If someone reaches out to me with an opportunity, everyone says, no, I'm focused. A lot of times I will simply say, I'm focused on what I'm doing, but I'm always open, send it. Not because I'm interested, because I want to keep that relationship for when his company might fail or when another opportunity might come along. So I'm kind and courteous and create the relationship. And I've seen some networkers that are quite crude. It's like to the point where it's like, you're stupid if you don't join my company.
That's right, because mine's the only one that's good on the planet.
That's right. Yeah, you're stupid if you don't join my company. I don't do any of that. I give respect, and but I'll tell them, I'm focused, but I pride myself on, seeing what's going on in the industry, and so if you'd like to send it, please do. And I never ask what someone's doing.
No.
If
don't open the door.
Don't open Pandora's box.
I don't ask what somebody's doing, because if you say, hi, maybe you're reconnecting, you haven't spoken with them in a long time, what are you doing? You've opened the door for them to
added 30 minutes to the conversation to
go on the pitch. And I think phone is best. Once there's interest, and this is where Dennis has created an amazing system with the hour-a-day system. I mean, it does so much of the work for you. Yeah. It does. So today we're working, and I'm just shooting out some messages on Messenger. Are you open or focused? And people are saying, what is it? And then Craig's over here shooting them, putting them in the hour-a-day system and sending links. And so I try to automate as much as possible. In the old days, we didn't have that. And so even years ago when, I was with the company and I knew everything. I knew all about the products, all about the comp plan, all about the management, knew everything. I played dumb on purpose because a lot of people think, well, I can't do what Greg does.
I can remember doing three-way calls with you, and I'm all excited to get you on the call with my big $150,000 a year suit guy that I ran across doing my street survey. And I'm like, Greg will get on there and smooze them and woos them, and you get on, and you're like,
that wasn't that bad.
What happened to Greg? And after I'm like, what? And he says, no. If you're all smooth and cool, man, he says, that person thinks he needs to be smooth and cool. He says, it's better that I'm a bit of a bumbling idiot making all the money. And then he thinks,
isn't he kind?
No, I mean, seriously, I learned that lesson really quick that, super smooth. You don't have to be. In fact, it does start to work against you when you get overly smooth, because people think they need to have that same level of skill.
Well, we talk about that, Don's saying here, it's about quality, not quantity, and duplication. Of course, I mean, when we talk about duplication, and say if you introduce one person a month who does the same. It's one person a month who does the same.
Right.
It's not introduce your mom and your
3 customers that you found don't count. The 5 guys that decided that maybe they'll tell their friends, but don't count. It's the one guy who's committed to joining with you and taking it serious.
In that scenario, it's so simple, and it's only 12 people, of course, of a year.
It is.
And, you know, and then if you watch that video, you'll see. And I would stop. Well, he did it verbatim. I'd stop about the 3rd month and say, this is where most people quit.
That's what we do.
Yeah, exactly. And
watch it. It's all done nice on VideoScribe. It's generic. You can use it for whatever MLM company you're with. Right. And I mean, Dennis, you've used that that whole concept even when you had to go and share it was in Europe. Tell that story because it's kind of funny.
A client brought me to Rotterdam to help them get their company off the ground and sort of attend their launch and just sort of help get them on track. And they had actually paid us to do the whole MLM presentation for them, which we did in English, and it was perfect and it was brilliant. And, you know, if I don't say so myself, well, and they paid, so it must have been good enough. So I'm in Rotterdam and I've got a room full of people in front of me and they're like, okay, Dennis, you get up there and you do the presentation. And I'm like, yeah, no sweat. Everyone speaks English pretty good. Okay, no problem. And the presentation comes up and it's in Dutch. And I'm like, well, Dennis, you're really good. Like you wrote it. You'll remember. Just say what you normally say. I'm like, I was like, Greg, and I spied a whiteboard across through some other offices. And I said, would you guys mind if we just sort of canned this thing and go over there and let me show you what's all about? And all I did was the presentation that's there. Every single guest signed up with the top package. All I did was that presentation there. And then said at the end of it, now, hey, here's the vehicle, here's the product, the compensation plan details. You can figure them out wherever you want. I never even pitched the comp plan. I just showed leverage. And every single person was visibly having a hard time sitting still. It was magic.
That's a good point. If a networker seasoned and they understand comp plans, you know, they might want to have a look and dissect it and have some questions with it. But I learned early in the business on Saturday trainings and such, we didn't go into deep training on the comp plan because then people feel like they need to know it
before they can start.
Before they can start, exactly. And you know, there's many styles of comp plans that are out there, and so I have my own opinions. But 2x2 cyclers, there's never been one that's done the length of time.
Well, Dennis, I mean, you know, doing all these plans, bulk, you know, they all come down to about the same thing. No matter how it's whether upfront money or back end money.
Here's the problem. There's only so much a company can afford to pay. So if your company is trying, and I remember once long ago, and I won't name the company, some guy was telling me how his company paid 80%. And of course, it was a public company he was talking about. So as I have him on the phone, I'm like, well, let's go over to your corporate site. And he's like, yeah, thinking he got me good, right? Like, I'm ready to go look at his company. And I'm like, hey, you see that little link there called Investor Relations? I said, let's click on that link. He says, okay, let's do that. He goes, yeah. I'm going to get him. I could just hear it in his voice. Like, yeah, I'm going to get him. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you see that one called financial statements? Let's open that one up, see what's hiding behind that link. And we took a look at the latest fiscal reports. And we went to the column that said commissions. And we went over to the column at the end of the year which said what percentage of sales were commissions. And it was exactly 28%. So I'm like, hang on, you said 80. He says, well, it is 80. I said, no, it's 28. He's like, no, you don't understand. And I'm, nope, pretty sure I'm the one understanding. These are your audited financials. So just know that everything gets talked about, but in the end, your commission plan is probably as good as the next one. The question is, are you as good as the next person? Forget your comp plan. Are you as good as the next person? Are you willing to put the work in? Because here's a really weird rule that I've figured out. Almost every comp plan, whether it's a binary or a unilevel or a coded bonus or whatever, will pay you approximately 10% of PGV up to about the $20,000 a month mark.
And PGV, so
personal group volume, meaning the volume that has emanated from everyone you enrolled and they enrolled and so forth, no spillover counts. And I got to tell you, over 600 comp plans, this rule is, I can almost say it's a rule. I mean, sometimes it gets as high as 12 or 13%. Sometimes it's as low as 6 or 7%, but it's never 80%. It's never 40%. It's never 20%. So give up on the fact that your comp plan's superior. It's not. As long as you love it, that's all that matters. And if you don't love it, learn to love it and go out there and be confident that the other guy that's trying to get you excited about his comp plan is missing the boat, because his comp plan may have components that are different than yours, but I guarantee overall it's not better.
Right. So let's use the leverage video that we talk about. You guys can watch, because we talk about at the end, if you introduce one person a month who does the same thing, you'd end up with 4,095 people at the end of a year. We don't live in a perfect hypothetical world. If we blow that by 75%, you'd have 1,000 people on your team working an hour a day.
That's time leverage.
That is. But then you go further and say, if they only purchase $1,000 a year of your products.
A year.
So
people misunderstand and think that's a month.
But a year. So like less than
$100 a month,
which is most auto ships.
Oh my goodness me.
That means your business created $1 million in PGV.
Correct. And you can earn a commission on all that.
Which is about 10%, which means you're making about $100,000.
And I don't even do that. I stop and I say,
I know you don't,
to the audience. And hey, if you were in a sales job, what commission rate do you think you'd make? And almost every single person responds with 10%. Perfect. You can do that in MLM too.
Right. Easy number. Now you don't need to show the comp plan.
Not you doing it all.
That's not you doing it all.
Not you doing it all.
That's the point. You didn't sell $1 million yourself.
And here's the other thing about network marketing. People that are in traditional sales, I don't care what it is they're selling, from automobiles to retail clothing or anything. If someone doesn't buy from you, you're not hurt.
That's right.
But when you approach somebody in network marketing, we all have this fear of rejection. I mean, we're conditioned growing up to seek approval.
Yes.
And so therefore we feel personally hurt if someone's not accepting what you might be sharing with them. And we all have a family member that's going to, poke you in the ribs a little bit. How's your pyramid thing going?
And by the way, that's not an invitation to vomit all over them.
Right.
That's like saying, how are your kids?
Right.
Fine, thank you.
Exactly. And so, just realize that. And then the other big breakdown is follow-up. People have a fear of following up because, there's a fear of rejection there. And that's, again, where Dennis's system is absolutely amazing because it does it for you. It tells you when, how.
Right.
You really have to look at our day system. I've known this man for many, many years, and I've watched him perfect this for many, many years. And it just keeps getting better. It's best I've seen. And
we're going to be teaching that system in Orlando. We're going to be sharing with everybody, going through it. I'm going to be doing live prospecting. We're not asking for money. Well,
it starts
the system isn't going to cost you more money. It's there. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to do live prospecting on LinkedIn using Our Day. Now, seeing what Greg's doing, probably do it on Facebook too.
There you go.
Do some live stuff. We talked about our early days. Thomas was asking a question here. Dr. Stan, maybe you can go through some of the things that you did to be successful in your early days of network marketing. So you've heard what we've done. What about you?
So they said, how'd you like to start making more money in a month? You make an entire year. And I was like, I am not going back to college, man. 12 years of school, and then 12 more years of college. I'm like, I'm done. They said, no, we can mentor and teach you. And I'm like, really? And I was like, okay, I'm interested. So you're telling me I can make more money in a month than I make an entire year being a college professor. And the beautiful thing I tell people is they weren't lying. I went to a meeting and they talked about their comp plan. They talked about their products and services and so forth and leverage, right? And so I got started and they weren't lying. I literally started, a few years later, started making more money in a month than I was making an entire year. And I jokingly tell people, I walked into my boss, I said, boss, I'm sorry, I can't work for you anymore. He said, why? I said, I got eye trouble. He said, Doc, what's wrong with your eyes? I said, I can't see myself working for you anymore. And that was 1990, and I've been psychologically unemployable because now I realize that, like Jim Rohn taught, I used to travel and speak with him, bless his soul, before he passed, but he taught that profits are better than wages. But I didn't, in the beginning, I didn't know what made me successful, and I had to slow down because people kept saying, what are you doing? What'd you do? And there was a couple of things. One is, because of the training in the martial arts, they taught us about discipline. And one of the things we learned in martial arts is if while you practice, you don't want to quit, you haven't really practiced. And so we've had to work out until your body says, I had enough. The will says, no, you keep going. So what happens when I got started in network marketing, people were saying no, and it got hard. I was like, ooh, I'm doing something right. Where most other people were like, oh my goodness, I'm about to quit. I'm getting like, what do you get discouraged for? So that was one thing I learned because they said a true business is a personal development course disguised as a business. So as you develop, and that's why this meeting is going to be so powerful down in Orlando, hearing from all these different teachers and mentors and so forth. But to develop the self-discipline by hearing other people's story, by the way, it's going to help you. But then I was a leader already, and I didn't realize it. And as a minister of the gospel, I would travel around preaching in different churches every weekend. And so all of my friends were pastors and bishops, and so they were actually leaders and leaders of leaders, and I didn't understand back then. So now I get to teach on it. But the thing is, when I talked to these guys and they got started, they already had a following. So I wasn't just reaching onesie twosies like a lot of people. I was reaching leaders who had followers. And because I knew they were busy, I said, look, I'll tell you what I'll do. I don't really need you to do anything but give your blessing. Let me come in. I'll come through here, say, next couple of weeks and just train the people. And you give me 4 people in your church that seem like they kind of have a business mind. I'll get them as point people, and that'll happen. So basically, in a nutshell, is the combination of self-discipline and leaders that I was able to reach that caused me, to really go to the top of several companies. And even in the very beginning, the first company I started with, I was a rising star with that company. And so that's why, again, I'm so big on, like, one of my mentors, Charlie Tremendous Jones. You'll be the same you are today 5 years from now, except for the books you read and the people you meet. In Orlando, Florida, you get a chance to meet some of the cream of the crop. And like you guys, you're going to be teaching your best stuff. So, folks, I'm telling you, it's your opportunity to rub shoulders and to hear and to experience. And there's something about when there's another human being that has done something. And sometimes we don't relate with one person, but we can relate with another. Well, when you put 20 different speakers together, some of those you're going to really relate with. And you're going to say, man, if they did it, I can do it. And I think I can do it better. So for me, in a nutshell, it was being disciplined. So I didn't even think about quitting. Quitting didn't even cross my mind. But then because I was connected to leaders, I got the leaders who automatically had followers. And so now I teach people how to increase their leadership, how to increase their influence, and the fact of going after leaders instead of going after needers. Because needers are VDP, very draining people. And most network marketers go after needers, and they end up getting so drained. Whereas in essence, I went after leaders. And if a person can learn to do that, I think it'll help them. Back to you.
Can I just get one thing clarified? Because the word leader seems to get really misconstrued in this industry. You're talking about leaders in their community, leaders in their circle of influence. You're not talking about people that already had large followings in an MLM. You're talking about leader in the generic leadership fashion, correct?
Correct. But a leader to me is anybody that has a following, right?
I agree. I just wanted to be clear because a lot of people might think that what you're saying is go find people that were good at MLM and try to get them into your company. So I just wanted to clarify for our following on that no, you actually did the right thing.
Me in the beginning stages, it was, again, leaders literally in the church. And by the way, back then they don't talk to preachers because they're too busy. So they would ask me, hey, Doc, what are you doing? It's working so well. I was like, I can't tell you because you guys teach against what I do. but again, those were all my friends. That was my circle of influence. And then I was around since I'm a grandmaster in the martial arts, I was around other masters and grandmasters who, again, are leaders that lead their own classes. And so they were leaders who had other leaders that followed them and followed them. So I think it's really important that people understand the power of personal development and growth, which was old time teaching. And let me just say this real quick, because here's what I love what I'm seeing with you guys. Most of the old style, we were taught high touch, and most of the new style is high tech. So I teach, if you can mix high touch with high tech, you get a bigger check.
It's called hour a day.
There we go. It's something else I learned when I first got involved with network marketing. My belief wasn't strong enough to reach up to people. I started approaching people that looked up to me or that owed me money or something. And so, then I learned that everyone likes to compliment. So to reach up to somebody successful and give them a compliment. Bill, I've watched what you've done, over the years with everything you've done, and I've come across something that has really got me excited, but I would really like your opinion on this. And then, so what you're doing is complimenting them, and they feel proud, and they say, sure, happy to give you my opinion. Then the key is to let the opinion come from automated information. Don't you try to
right.
don't you try to sit down and explain it to them, because you'll be nervous and you're going to stumble or whatever it is. Just indicate, let me send you a couple of links and or whatever. And so let the systems do that for you, because duplication is the key to making long-term money.
Right. Well, that's the big thing there, Greg. I mean, if you have a system, you can duplicate the system.
That's right.
I want to duplicate myself. I got out there. I'm a good salesman. I was a really good magician, and I actually was able to duplicate that to you. Dennis came to me, and I used to do a magic trick before I started every presentation. And then he said, Craig, you got to teach it to me. You said, I got to learn how to duplicate. And I taught it to him, and he spent a lot of time doing it, and it worked. It's duplication. But duplication is a double-edged sword.
That's right.
Right? You can duplicate the good stuff and the bad stuff. So we're getting to the end of our hour here. So I'd like everybody just to maybe leave everybody with a parting wisdom gift, what we've been talking about here, whether it's some little tip or trick that we can leave everyone with. Let's do the system or a story, or just everybody can finish off with one wonderful little thing.
Follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. Because if you're not following up, all your efforts are wasted. So get a system, whether it's hour a day or something else, or like my old recipe box, it doesn't matter what it is, but get something that organizes you to know every day, who do you need to follow up with? What have you said so far? What's the next step? Yes or no? Get them off your list when it's a no, and do the right thing when it's a yes. But follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. Pick up the phone, reach out, talk to people, make friends, follow up, follow up, follow up.
Good. I'm gonna go on that one. When you're on social media, everybody, make friends first. So I'm going to go with what it is. Do not get up. The whole idea of networking is to make friends first. Don't go to a summer barbecue and vomit information all over your friends and family.
Even if they ask.
If they ask, things are going great. And that's another thing too. Even if your business isn't going really well, don't go, oh, my business really isn't going very well right now. I'm not very happy with the amount of money I'm making. Hey, business is doing great. Leave it at that. Make friends first. Those that are open and want to connect later, connect with them on social media. Always be positive, really important, but make friends first.
Yes.
Then turn a friend and see if they, as Greg said, are they open or focused? Greg, what would you like to leave somebody with?
Get your belief right. When I say belief right, I'm talking about your company, your products, and the industry of network marketing. I see so many times that, and I was when I first got involved, it's like someone says, what do you do? What are you doing? They stumble, their heart skips a beat. And so be proud of what you do. Take some time to really gather further knowledge on your company products. Do your own research. Don't believe everything your upline tells you. I mean, that's just like the gentleman that was telling Dennis it's an 80% payout. Well, that's because his upline or somebody else told him
Someone taught him that.
So that's what he's passing on. And that's where Craig said duplication can work for you or against you. So do what it takes to get your belief and mindset right. I read, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, greatest salesman in the world. I mean, you name it, I read it. And this business, as Stan said, is personal development in a business.
Yep.
Don't focus just on the products. Focus on the money.
I think, at the very, very least, make sure you always talk about the money and the products at the same time. Don't talk about one or the other.
Balanced approach. So important.
Yeah.
Dr. Stan, closing remarks from you, sir.
Hey, the most dangerous people are not the ones who hit you with clubs and rob you with guns. The thief won't attack your character traits, nor belittle your abilities to your face. It likely will be a well-meaning friend who merely crushes your will to win. No, he doesn't rob you or point a gun. He simply says it can't be done. And when pointed to many who already are, he smiles and says they're better than we are. Personality-wise and abilities too, they're way ahead of what others can do. And it matters not that his words are untrue for that others must know you. So you're robbed of your hopes, your dreams to succeed, robbed of the faith that makes you believe, left to doubt if you ever achieve. So the deadliest of people is not he with a gun, but he or she who tells you it can't be done. For that taken by burglars can be gotten again, but nothing can replace your will to win. So my friend, you just have to have that will to win, and don't let others' negative opinion of you become your reality. And the meeting in Orlando, Florida is going to so impact your life I'm telling you, my friend. So I would tell you, get there no matter what you got to do. And if you can't get there, do the simulcast. But if you get your team there as well, you're going to hear all these gentlemen in person, get to shake their hand, get to ask them questions personally. And so the best thing I can say, get to the meeting so you can get around people that are going to help bring you up.
And Stan, I'm going to see you there, and I'm going to bring a board with focus on it. But my board's going to be balsa wood.
Well, everybody, we want to thank you for joining us here. Hope you got something out of this. We're going to be back here again next week with some new people to talk to, get your questions answered all the way up to this event leading up. So we're here every Wednesday. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Dr. Stan. And I look forward to seeing you all in Orlando, Florida.
Bye for now.
Bye for now, everyone.
September 29th, October 1st.
You got it.
Peace.